Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morganroth, along with my guest co-host Dan Gudema. How you doing, Dan? You ready for round 3 tonight?
I am more awake than I was in the beginning.
I'll bet. Okay, and leading off and talking first. Okay, had to have that baseball twist to it. Bryan Argott, and Bryan's from the Los Angeles area. Contacted me through LinkedIn, and you know what? Bryan has a lot of good things going for him. So, Bryan, why don't you give the audience an overview about what you're looking to accomplish? I know you're going to Full Sail University in sportscasting, and you're pursuing a Bachelor of Arts. So, introduce yourself to the national audience.
Yeah, you sort of gave a little brief introduction. I'm currently pursuing sportscasting.
Oh, I got to let you take the rest of it. So, go ahead.
And then I'm looking. I have my own sports podcast. I'm just starting. It's called A Rocky Start. And currently, right now, I'm doing personal training. We've been struck by the virus here across the nation, and so from personal training, we have all gone virtual now, and so it's kind of made everybody in different industries kind of take a back seat to this. But we had to all survive still, so kind of shifted from doing personal training to online personal training, doing training virtually now.
So
and, sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
That sort of shift has had a huge impact on the business. I probably have been affected. Probably lost 20 to 30% of my clientele at the moment, but mostly everyone has kind of shifted to online, and that's been a huge. It's been a huge game changer. I mean, sort of because we have to adapt, to these kind of changes here. It's kind of like what happened in 2008 to what's happening now. It's proving, that people can work out and work at home. Not just needing to go places, but that's the world that we live in 2020 right now.
Now, did you say you're doing lots of virtuals? You figure around 75%. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've managed to switch over about 75% of my own clientele from my 2 gyms that I work at currently, and I brought them on to my own online platform.
Nice.
Very nice. Okay, now, one of the things that intrigued me about you when you were talking about is you served 6 years in the Rangers Reserves. So tell me a little bit about that experience in the military.
Yeah, so that was the Marine Corps Reserve. I served there in the reserves. I just recently got out as of October of last year. At the time I was actually looking at doing law enforcement. It's part of the reason why I joined the reserves. I thought I was gonna shift and go and be a police officer or that route. And then I was actually working at a detention facility where we were working with immigration and ICE. And I was doing that for about 2 years, and I kind of saw the lifestyle of working as a law enforcement officer. Not fully to the extent of it, but I just saw that it was actually very demanding. It was kind of the negative persona around it was all sort of true. And, it takes a certain somebody, and after working in the military, I didn't want that life for me anymore. So I, served my 6 years. And I was looking for something, so halfway through my contract, I sort of started doing personal training, and I was really good at it because I was always good at working out. So from working in the detention facility, I shifted to personal training very quickly, and haven't kind of looked back until I started wanting to do more in the realm of sports.
So what motivated you to get into sportscasting? Because that's a tough field to get into.
It is a tough field, but I would say a lot of it has been driven by passion. Sports is definitely a realm that we all can look at and say we've been watching since we were younger. I mean, I've been watching sports since I was 6 years old. But with sports in general, there's just so much fun around it. I mean, it's hard not to want to be around. As I've gotten older, and I'm 29, I'm getting kind of a late start to it. But looking back at it, I wish I would have did 10 years ago, but now I, still like what the next 10 years has to hold. There's so much to say, and I would, if I look back 30 years from now, and if I didn't do it, I think it would be the biggest regret.
Well, let's face the reality. You live in Los Angeles, and you have an awful lot of teams out there. You guys don't have one of everything. You practically have two of everything. So even if you, listen, they even have two soccer teams out there.
Wow.
Two football teams, although you only have one hockey team, but you have two basketball teams. Oh, that's right, because you have the, correct, yeah, you have the Ducks. I don't know why I lost sight of them, but they're in Anaheim. Yeah, thanks for correcting me there. So think about it. You got two hockey teams with the Ducks and the Kings. You have two basketball teams with the Clippers and the Lakers. Then you have the Dodgers and the Angels. Okay, what else are we missing out?
I think
there's always
Dodgers,
more.
Angels, we said it all. Now we have the two football teams who are kind of
Irrelevant. Yeah, right.
The Chargers, who don't have many fans here in LA. Most of their fans are still from San Diego, and the Rams, who some people take seriously and some others don't.
Right. Well, what really should have happened in a perfect world, if the NFL had any sense, is the Raiders should have gone ahead and moved there, not the Chargers. But that's because they had a history there and they won a championship residing in LA. So here, we'll look at the four major sports. Baseball, you have the Angels and the Dodgers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hockey, you have the Kings and the Ducks. Okay. Basketball, the Lakers and the Clippers, and then you have in football the Rams and the Chargers, and for that matter, to make add insult to injury, you have the LA Football Club and then the LA Galaxy, one of which is across the street from the Coliseum. I believe that's the LA Football Club. I remember years ago I saw Celtics and a Clippers game over at the Memorial Coliseum, and of course they have the Galaxy, and for that matter, you got UCLA and you have USC. So too. So my goodness, you'll have plenty of opportunities in sports to practice on to hone your craft out in that area.
I have a question for you, Bryan. So you're doing sports training or coaching, or you're doing this work with people. I was a member of LA Fitness, and of course we can't go right now. So what about, do any of your clients have kids in school and they're dealing with that and other things that how are they coping, your clients?
It's so funny you mentioned, I just got this question earlier because I was training two of my clients, their husband and wife, and both their kids are homeschooled now for the rest of the remaining year. Mm-hmm. And they're totally overwhelmed by they have to help them with homework. They have to basically become teachers now.
This is what's going on. I have a 10 and 12-year-old. That's why I'm saying that. It is what it is.
Yeah, and this is the world that we live in for the next few months at least. And I would say that from what they've told me, that the trainings help them out tremendously. Because people are working out on their own and everything like that, but still at the end of the day, they are looking for someone to keep them accountable for their own health.
Of course.
And they can't just go to the gym anymore.
The only reason I got my wife to the gym is they built an LA Fitness in my corner in South Florida. And then my wife started going with me about a year ago, and this past 6 to 8 months we had been going 3 days a week to the gym, at least, maybe 4. Because after we dropped the kids off at 8 a.m., we'd go to the gym, so we got like a schedule. My wife won't go to the gym without me. But, in the end, I got a Fitbit on my arm. Does that help? Fitbit?
Yeah, it does help, actually. It does give you notifications.
And I'm trying to get. I used to be into yoga, and I need to get. I have not rolled out that pad since the coronavirus started. I need to get into it. And does 10,000 steps a day really help?
Yes, it does help because it keeps your body active. There's still something about moving every day that that us as human beings need. We aren't meant to stare at a TV monitor or a computer screen and sit down all day as human beings. We're still creatures of habit.
So I'm not, I wish I could get a better workout. I'm going to definitely get down and start. If I don't start doing yoga soon, I start having back problems. So I'm getting ready for my yoga. But the real question, the real weird thing is I've been hitting like between 10 and 14,000 steps a day. When I get a business call, I like put my hat on, I have a new scarf thing I put on. I get it, and I start walking out the door. So the moment I'm on a phone, I'm trying to maximize my walking time. Does this sound odd?
No, not at all. That's actually, that's fantastic. fantastic that you do that. I mean, I think a lot more people would be happier doing that if they did that, but instead most people sit down and take their call.
So Bryan, can you imagine this? I have a $20,000 Rolex in my safety deposit box and bought an Apple Watch to replace it. I mean, if that isn't crazy or what, but let's face the reality, okay? The Rolex will hold value. I expect it to, no matter what. And by the way, it's a presidential, okay? Yeah. And the Apple Watch I've had for the last few years, and I guess the Apple Watch holds value because I can gauge and keep myself honest in terms of move calories. Tell me about move calories on these Apple Watches. Do they really mean anything, or what do they? How many calories do you actually burn off?
You know, I would say I'm not too familiar with the move calories on the Apple Watch per se because I'm not familiar with it. But
right.
I would say, like, as far as active calories burning, it's when walking. I mean, you're just doing yourself a favor there already. As far as just if you're walking, either if it's a mile or two or 10,000 steps to 20,000 steps a day, or what.
But Bryan, I have everyone is facing the same problem because all my childhood friends from I have a ton of friends from LA because I'm from New Jersey, and New Jersey is little LA. So they all get on the phone with me, and they're all trapped inside, and we're all eating pasta and rice because that's what keeps the longest, right? And beans, and that's what we're doing. We're all just like, we're holding steady, but we're just not keeping up right now. That's my opinion.
And what I was going to get to is the fact that I think, we're all stuck inside, and we get you get hit by people on Twitter and stuff. Why are so many people walking outside? I think that the real caveat is you got to kind of motivate yourself. There's so much content out there. Sometimes there's information overload, but with like YouTube and all these other services, fitness platforms offering free workouts and free online, because they're trying to get as many users as they possibly can, because they just simply don't have enough. So many people, so many fitness companies were hit by this virus, and some of them are facing a lot of hardship. But there's a lot of free content out there to consume.
Did you tell? Did Scott tell you that we were both bedazzled by the founder of LA Fitness?
I was going to get to that, but I'm glad you go ahead and tell them the story.
Yeah, we both heard him speak I was a speaker at one of these events, like a business leadership event, and Omar Peru, who's the founder of LA Fitness, he's just an amazing guy. So we heard him speak, and at the end of his speech, he convinced us to buy his program. Both of us, Scott and I, the founder of LA Fitness. He's not that he's the most amazing guy ever, but his story is very interesting. He actually grew up in Boca Raton, where I live now, and his business techniques, the whole thing of how he got people to really work out in LA, honestly. And that's where he started the business. But anyway, we just want to let you know we became his disciples, and now he's our mentor.
Well, let me tell you something, Bryan, okay? Dan and I will get mileage out of Omar. And the thing I've got going and that you're catching on quick, as long as I have this network and this online publication, I'll guarantee you we will get our money out of Omar and then some. And I tell you what, I should be charging for the time after what he charged us. The way he gave me the first price, the second price, and the now.
No, so Bryan, he had this great strategy. He's like, there's $10,000. It's $10,000 worth of information. 800 hours, all the books, all the things. But normally 5,000. But today 2,000. Usually I charge 1,000. It's a $500 often. But today 300. Let me make it $198.
Yeah,
or 200, something like that.
Whatever it was. But meanwhile, that's the oldest trick in the world, sales-wise.
We fell for it.
Because I thought what he had to offer, you and I are really in it for the business side. Yeah. But I will tell you right now, his do it now strategy is the oldest one on the planet because I use it in the home improvement business and a lot of places. It just so happens. The one thing I guarantee, Bryan, and to you, Dan, okay, since I have more resources than Omar does. Okay, I will get my mileage out of it. When he told me that he thought that if you didn't succeed in business or make a profit in 6 months, I told him, you are absolutely out of your mind because you don't know a darn thing about the media business. And then you know what? That guy backtracked as if you had a boxer going up against the ropes, and then I was looking for the TKO And I guarantee you now, after I told him after the fact, okay, wait till I get you in my studio, and now that Dan and I are joining forces to hammer this guy, mark my word.
Bryan, you would really enjoy listening to Omar Peru because he starts with like one gym in LA and he gets it to like 600, okay? And he sells the whole thing for like $100 million. And he just does it step by step. He put a tent out in front of a building and he sold pre-sales. He did some stuff that every fitness center does today is based on what he did.
And since we made that investment, Bryan, I've told Dan, you better be guarded about how many more of these things we go to because we don't have a bankroll to get involved with too many of these things. But at least I can tell you, I can leverage the Tribune, Broadcasting Network, and the online publication. And I'll tell you,
I don't feel bad about it.
Huh?
I don't feel bad about it.
I don't either because I'm going to make sure this guy works for every last penny and then some. He's going to wish he didn't deal with the Motor City madmouth. I'm going to tell you right now because I will talk his ear off on the different platforms, and he will deliver. Okay, so with that said, tell me a little bit more about the personal training because I want to get into some of your sports passion.
I have a question about personal training.
Sure, go ahead.
So, Bryan, not the personal training. What about your experience in the supplement side or recommendations for diet, or because people are trapped? What are your thoughts there during this period?
I mean, I think like you said, people are trapped. Some foods are becoming scarce. There's a lot of places that don't have stock for what we are used to eating. And if you go out places, there's lines everywhere. So I think it's about eating, pretty. I just think about practicality. Like you gotta be practical in what we eat. Right now we're all at home, so we're constant. It's so if you're doing work in the kitchen, like at your kitchen table, stay away from there.
I have my own personal garden, Bryan. My wife and I have upped the ante on our little tiny garden, and we call it our victory garden. And we got like I know techniques on gardening you wouldn't believe. Like you can pop things in the regrow and stuff like that, and you can do it inside. You don't have to even do it outside. So a lot of gardening opportunities for people.
So Bryan, tell me a little about these infomercials about all these workout things that we probably wouldn't have seen about a month or two ago. But because COVID-19 forced us to do it, everybody seems to be jumping on that bandwagon trying to sell it, whether it's tapes and all the different things that they're trying to throw at us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, you're going to have people doing other these crazy, contraptions and stuff like that. I mean, honestly, do they work? Maybe. Like, are they going to sit there in your garage in a year? Yes. Like that. That's how I see it. But honestly, you have weights, dumbbells, and everything like that. I mean, you don't even need weights. There's so much content out there to help people work out. And there's a lot of trainers doing virtual training. It's not hard. It's really set up practical. And it's the one thing that people all need right now is accountability. Accountability, like you guys said, with business, there's accountability needed in everything. And I think that's like number one lacking. If people can't work out at home, if they're making excuses on why they're not working out, because it's really easy. If you have an iPhone, you can look up a workout on YouTube in 5 minutes. And you can knock out that workout in 30, 40 minutes.
So is this a wave of the future, Bryan?
The wave of the future, virtual training. I mean, virtual training's been around for years. I mean, it's starting to get really popular right now because everyone has to stay at home.
Right.
But I mean, it's definitely the wave of the future though, because as more people get busier, especially if they work in office jobs, I know CEOs and stuff like that work out in their office from virtual trainers because sometimes it's too hard to work out in the morning for some people because they're too busy. So on their lunch break, they're working out for 30, 45 minutes with their virtual trainer, and that makes it a lot more simpler for people. It's definitely time consuming to put on workout clothes, go to the gym, work out, and drive back home, get ready to go to work. So some people have their virtual trainers ready to go, and maybe it's like, say if you have to be at work at 8 a.m. and you have a virtual trainer, and you hop on a call at 6 a.m. and you're done with your workout at 7, you're already home, you're ready to shower, and you go.
So I guess you're saying that COVID-19 has actually put virtual training on the map, even though it was already there anyhow. But obviously, times have changed, and we're all looking for a way to burn energy, all this stress. We're all caged lions, basically.
Yes, pretty much.
Well, what can I tell you? Dan, you want to ask him another question about this? I want to go into some sports things.
Yeah, just what are your thoughts on yoga in general?
Oh, I love it. It's I can't say enough about it. The amount that we need to stretch and everything like that, core stability and everything, yoga is. I mean, next to weight training, they're both neck and neck.
Yeah.
I mean, people have been incorporating yoga for years. Derek Jeter. I mean, I didn't know anything about yoga, but when he came out about 2009 or like as he was getting older, he was talking about yoga. I was like, what the heck is this? But Jeter was mentioning it then, and how it helped change his second half of his career. So
yeah,
I mean, yoga definitely says a lot.
I'm around. I had hurt my back 20 years ago. Well, I'm a software developer, just to let you know, and part of my career. And that's, developers have to spend so much time at the computer. It sucks. Like this weekend, I'm probably going to work 8 hours at my computer. So I found, after I hurt my back, I went to a chiropractor. And I don't go anymore, but I went and they taught me. There was a really good chiropractor who taught me a lot about my back. And then I went to my first yoga class maybe within 6 months. And the yoga instructor told me her father was a chiropractor. And he told her, you don't need to go to a chiropractor. Just do yoga. So I started doing yoga. Now, 20 years later, if I stop doing it for 2 or 3 months, like the last 2 months in COVID stuff, eventually I'll start having back pain. But once I start up the yoga again, I have enough routines memorized, so I can do my thing. But as far as the gym, my wife and I are going to the gym, and I have a bad knee too, so I have to do the elliptical. I have to do it. I can't run. I can't run anymore. I'm 55, and that knee is missing cartilage. But the elliptical has not been a problem for me. And now my biggest issue during this whole thing is I can't seem to get my bike out and start the bike. But the walking, I just wonder about the walking. Is it really that useful? My father is 83, walks every day 3 to 5 miles a day, religiously for the last 25 years. My father, just walking.
That's where you put it on the head, on the hammer on the head. It improves longevity. It does. I mean, you can look at. Have you ever seen older people and they slouch forward?
Oh my God! See, we live in a retirement area in South Florida. I once walked into a Subway and there were 2 guys who were friends in front of me. I'd say they're both in their mid-80s, and one guy was hunched over, like had a hunchback, whatever, and the other friend of his had a stroke and had one shoulder lifted up. You know what I'm saying? The 2 of them were in bad shape. And I look at that, I'm like, you know what? I don't care if I go broke. I'm not sitting at a computer. That's what I thought after that. Like, I'm not doing it. And I'm doing my yoga, and I'm doing my exercise. I'm not going to be a hunchback like those guys if I can't.
And then that's what it takes. It takes mindfulness to really identify that.
I feel bad for them. I can tell they were accountants, they were programmers, they did whatever they did, and it was damaging. I mean, that career was damaging. And it's the life of a software developer is not good. I'll just say that. You lose curvature in your neck. There's all kinds of problems. I've been able to keep away from serious problems. I have a programmer cousin who's had to saw. He had to have them saw down his neck bone recently so the vertebrae don't touch. Stuff like that.
All right, so Bryan, I have a quick question. Then I got a couple sports things I want to throw at you before we wrap up the segment. First of all, how many times a week do you recommend somebody work out a week? And then that's the first question. Then the next question is how many times should they use a weight and how many times do they do cardio? That way, for all those people that are listening, they should give them an overall idea what the workout should. Because I know you don't want to overdo it, otherwise you run into medical issues. So go ahead, and then we'll get on to some sports questions really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely I would say 4 to 5 times a week.
Okay.
Whether it's like you're doing weight training 3 days, doing cardio 2 days, like you said, I mean, some people, like as Dan was mentioning, he has a knee problem.
Right.
People think cardio, people think running. It doesn't have to be that way. It could be elliptical. It could be, it could be walking. It could be walking up a hill, where
hills in Florida.
Something different to where it's not so high impact. There's so much stuff out there that where it doesn't necessarily have to be this big like group class or anything like that. People just see these obstacles in their own mind, where they think that it has to be this high intense workout. I do love high intense workouts. That's what I mainly do, but it doesn't always have to be like that. I think 30, 45 minutes a day, having a rest day even still, there's still active rest, walking, hiking,
Right.
like that is always essential. But I always think moving daily is essential in our everyday lives. Like, I don't think we should be, always cooped up inside. I think, like, even walking in the morning improves our positivity and overall happiness mentally as well.
Okay, let's go over a couple more things. Obviously, you told me yesterday when we spoke that your favorite sports are football, baseball, NBA, and boxing, and that you're looking to become a writer over the South Florida Tribune. We look forward to that. So, why do you like these four sports? And then we'll wrap it up on your favorite teams.
It's simple. I've just been a sports fan since I was young. I've always loved the competitiveness. I was a nerd about it all. My dad was, he used to have the boxing fights on all the time when I was a kid. It's a big reason I like boxing. And then I just sort of grew into collecting football, baseball, and basketball cards. And I wasn't a fan of teams when I was really young. I grew onto teams later, probably. Like, I started watching sports when I was about 6, but I didn't become a fan of teams until later. I was a big Vince Carter and Rasheed Wallace fan. Rasheed Wallace is why I became a Pistons fan.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan McNabb was the reason I became an Eagles fan, and then a Mets fan. I guess I didn't watch as much baseball when I was younger. I grew on it later.
Right.
But I became a Mets fan because my brother was a Yankees fan when we played them in the 2000 Subway Series.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. When you told me the other day you were a New York Mets fan, a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and a Detroit Pistons. Boy, I mean, I could definitely tell you the Pistons played a lot of great basketball. I covered the Pistons when I was living back in Detroit. I've done a lot actually with the New York Mets here in spring training in Port St. Lucie. And I saw the Philadelphia Eagles play in the Super Bowl up in Jacksonville. So, I found there to be an interesting amount of teams that you had there, and that's what intrigued me. So, what are you looking to accomplish here at the South Florida Tribune, both the online publication as well as the broadcasting side?
Well, I mean, I want to deliver some, credible content. Not anything boring. It's like bias-driven from my own sports fans.
Right.
I want to deliver some, key pieces that I find that are interesting that we just don't see every day. I don't want to have a hot take or anything like that. I want to, have worthy content that people can enjoy and get that outside perspective on different things. I always find it interesting. Athletes have different backstories, and I really like digging and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I've always loved boxing. I've had photos with Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, James Toney, just Chuck Wepner. So those are some pretty interesting things. Tell me a little bit about your passion for boxing. We got a few more minutes to go. I love boxing, and I can promise you right now that I am working very diligently to get boxing guests on here. But how did you get into boxing?
I mean, it started, with De La Hoya, Trinidad, back in early 2000. He's Holyfield. I was watching the heavyweight fights a lot back then, the welterweights, and then even in the later part of the 2000s and 2010s, I just was a big fan of the welterweight division then. I was a big fan of Manny Pacquiao. I still am a big fan of Manny Pacquiao. I think it's amazing that he's still fighting it into his 40s. It's incredible. And I mean, as far as all that goes, it just always intrigued me, how these fighters, kind of prep themselves, the mentality it takes. And then even some UFC, that's remarkable too. But there's always something that fascinates me more about boxing than UFC.
Well, it's a sweet science is really what it is. I mean, UFC, you have 4 rounds, and that's about it. I give a UFC a lot of credit with the athleticism that they have. So what did you think about the Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor fight? That was a crossover. And Conor McGregor, lasted, 10, 11 rounds, I think it was. And I think it was an interesting fight to watch.
He lasted around 9, I think.
Was it? Yeah, I knew that. But he went a lot longer than most people gave him credit. I don't remember the length, but I know he went deep enough into the fight.
In that fight, I thought he was going to go 12 rounds. I didn't think Mayweather was going to knock him out because Mayweather never had any punching power. Especially the later part of his career, he didn't knock anybody out since like 2006, I think it was. But I mean, I was never a fan of Mayweather. I thought he was kind of bad for boxing for the last decade, just because he had duck fights, he had fought fighters that he shouldn't have fought.
Right.
I mean, and he ducked Pacquiao, I believe, for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
He always said it was about money, and don't get me wrong, he's a great businessman.
Right.
But I would never put him in top tier boxers, just because I believe boxers should be fighting the next best opponent. And
right.
He just never did that.
Well, I appreciate that. Okay, so let's talk about some of the boxers of the yesteryear. You have about 4 minutes or so, 3 minutes. I'll let you promote yourself. So, just give me an opinion of Muhammad Ali and George Foreman, just to name a couple.
I mean, yeah, like I can't really speak on too much of them. I've only seen highlights.
Okay.
I mean, these guys are historic. I mean, I would just say the way Ali was able to carry himself.
Right.
Like in his day, I mean, can you imagine just the political stance, all that?
Oh, yeah.
You know, go in the ring and do that. I mean, it takes a certain kind of athlete or a certain kind of mentality. It's like, speaking about Jackie Robinson Day, it's like that's another person that break into baseball and to break that barrier. It's so impressive, and I mean, you just will never see that kind of barrier broken again in like sports.
Right.
I mean, I guess the next thing would be like if a woman was supposed to play in the NFL or something like that. That would be like the next thing, but like that's the only thing I could possibly compare it to. But it's like that. Muhammad Ali is incredible. For boxers that I just simply